Welcome to the Bouncy Cow Palace. Happy fun for the entire family. No, not really. This is our cow farm. That's what kind of what we're going to be talking about today. Some farms that are utilizing Botania that we made up. This is one that uses cow breeding or animal breeding. This will work with, should work with any breedable mob as long as you feed it the proper stuff. What we have, real quick, if we go up, if I can jump up here, right? We have our, there's about 16 cows in there, something like that. And right here, we have a polydesiac. This is Botania flour. Fairly simple to make. You do need to make some runes for it. But what this one will do is when food that is required by the animal that you're breeding is dropped near it, it'll pick it up and then breed them or attempt to feed them. That is provided by this dispenser right here, which we'll talk about. But all these guys are standing in a little fenced area on top of a single fence post. So you can see the little single fence post. That's what they're all standing on right there. They're too big to fall down in here, but the babies are not. So when they're bred, they all fall down into here and until they grow up. And then there's another flower in there, which you can't really see because they're all on top of it, called the dreadthorn. What the dreadthorn does is, using this mana pool also, it when these guys reach adulthood, okay, see right now it's firing. You can see it's kicking out the it should be kicking out about 16 wheat, and the flower will then pick it up and then breed them. Once they're bred, they all fall down in there. You can see right now the adults that are just growing are dying. See, they're all dying right now. Dying. And then, of course, over here we have a chest with an advanced item collector. It's filtered to only pick up raw beef and leather. If you've ever worked... this thing was running... I had to rebuild this because I screwed up the first time. And they kept picking up any blocks that I would break. So that's why I'd like to put filters on just about everything. Just make sure it picks up. Now, you can use... If you're just sticking with Botania right here, you can use what's called a hopper hawk. The hopper hawk will pick up any items dropped on it, and you can filter a hopper hawk by putting item frames on the chest. So like this side, you'd put an item frame with raw beef in it, and on this side, you'd put it like an item frame with leather in it, and the hopper hawk will only pick up those two items and put them in that chest. So that's hopper hawk is another flower. Pretty easy to make. I think it's you do need chest and hopper, I believe. To do that. But now over here, if you don't have like Red Logic, which is what I have in this particular pack, or Project Red, or I think there's another one called Project Blue or something like that, which is a similar one. I think there's even one called Green Wire. Whatever you get, it's got these little logic circuits in them, and what this one does is this one's set to a 5-minute timer. It'll dispense 16 wheat every 5 minutes, and that's based off of this timer right here. It's set to 5 minutes, and in 5 minutes this will come over here and set this off. And when this sets this off, that signal is going to come over here. You don't have to worry about this because it's already taken care of. This is our counter. But it'll come over here and hit this T flip-flop. Alright, this T flip-flop will turn off on this side, which will allow this timer to run. Then the time on this really isn't important. It's just how fast you want your dispenser to dispense whatever's in it. Because every time this thing clicks off, so every time it goes around, it's going to click. And it's going to send a pulse out over here to your counter. And every time it clicks, it's going to click this up until it hits 16. Now once it hits 16, this counter is then going to fire off a redstone charge on this side. The redstone will come out of there. It won't affect this timer at all, but it'll come around and then zero itself. It'll reset this. You see the decrement is a 16. So it'll come around here, reset itself to 0, and then hit this T flip-flop again, which will then power this and turn this timer off. Hope that makes sense. Timer, every 5 minutes, will turn this off. or hit the T flip-flop, which will turn this power off to this side, which will allow this timer to run. This timer will go around 16 times, and setting this counter to its max, which is 16, which will then turn on a redstone signal here, which will reset itself to 0, and then turn the timer off again, or hit the T-flop again, which will turn this timer off until it gets another pulse from this one, which it's pretty close. You can see it's slowly getting up there. When it gets to the redstone kind of torchy looking thing, it'll set it all off again. Now let's go take a quick sleep just so we don't get any mobs creeping up on us. Run over here. I guess I could have used a sleeping bag. If I can move, come on. What's going on here? There we go. If I get on the bed. So the redstone, could you do that with vanilla redstone? I'm sure you could. I could not. It would take me a week, and I'd probably get frustrated, break a couple of keyboards, smash them on the desk. This took me long enough as it is to get this to work the way I wanted it to. I can't even imagine doing this with vanilla redstone. But this is a really low mana operation. I put a 1 mana tablet in the mana pool over here, and it just never seemed to go down after a very long time. So you really could just get away with probably filling it up, and it would go for weeks, I would imagine. A week or maybe even more. Just off of that little bit of mana. It doesn't use very much because it only works when it's doing its thing like, shoot. Damn it. Take that wheat. Got too close. Didn't realize it was clicking off. So it really low, even with the polydesiac and the dreadthorn working. Not a huge amount of mana use. Now I did come over here and add this little mana power generator. Really just because I had all these hydro ranges up in my chest up there that I was no longer utilizing. I got rid of them from on top of over here. So I figured, what the hell, I'll put them here. So it's just a 3x3 tower of water, and then made the hydrangeas into floating flowers and just stacked them, and they're all being picked up by this mana spreader. And then it's got a phantom lens on it. What the phantom lens allows you to do is it goes through, like I can target that mana pool over there, but nothing will block it. It'll go through blocks to get to that mana pool. So it's just, slowly going over there. It's not a big, huge mana producer, but for what we're using, it's acceptable. Now I use the Gaia mana spreader because it is so far away. I don't think just a regular mana spreader would hit it, but if I need to, I can then redirect this over to our other farm over here. And this is our support farm. Of course, we need wheat to breed cows, and over here we have our little wheat farm. Now, this one uses Botania agricarnations. These are kind of like lily pads of fertility, but the growth goddess band from Project E will not harvest it. So I'm going to show you another alternative that I came up with when we go to the testing world, but just to let you know how this one works. We'll take a look at the guts and everything when we get to the testing world. But when the growth goddess band is turned on, it'll automatically harvest the crops for us, and it also provides additional growth empowerment to the farm. So the dispensers behind here, with dispenser tweaks that comes with Botania, it will plant a crop on dirt that's directly in front of it. It does not work with magic crops. It's like everybody is anti-magic crop. The only one, only mod I ever found that seemed like it worked with magic crops was Natural Progression or something like that. What we had in that the light pack when we were playing that. But these dispensers will fire pretty quickly because everything's going to grow pretty quickly. So I'm going to go over here and turn this timer off. Be careful with these timers. I don't know if it's just red logic or what, but I've got a few of these things running. So I'm going to shut that one off, and then I'm going to, I don't want too many of these going, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to shut off another one that I've got running, which is for our Cake-a-murra. We have a cobblestone generator down there that's turning cobblestone into cake. We've got quite a bit of that. And then every 4 seconds or so, when this thing is running, it'll drop a cake down here and it'll pick up by these Cake-a-murras, if you're wondering what that was. So if we go back over here, now I can feel less nervous about turning this one on. I did get some crashes when I had all the timers running. I would get a tick error just every once in a while, and that's always annoying. So we're going to turn that on and let it get kind of warmed up. Just here, click in a second and see some wheat come out. Okay, or not wheat, I'm sorry, seeds. They're picked up, of course, back here. We have another advanced item collector, and it's set to just wheat and seeds, so you don't have to worry about anything else. If we want to get back to our back area, we have you can kind of see all where the redstone goes. This one is for our seeds. It feeds the whatchamacallit, dispensers. Hello, I can speak. But then we've got all our agri-carnations in there. Put that in here. So once we right-click on this pedestal right here, the dark matter pedestal, that's when the magic happens. So you'll hear it start going. The agri-carnations actually have a sound that lets you know that they're working. Now I went with this one because it is it's faster. It's just a lot faster than the other design that I came up with that uses pistons. Did not use Project E. It just used lily pads of fertility and the agri-carnations. It's relatively fast, but it's not as fast as like this, and it did require extra redstone to do the harvesting. And it didn't harvest just individual plants. You had to wait until everything was grown and then harvest it all at once, which we'll take a look at. So this one will give us plenty of wheat so we can kind of keep our cow breeding going whenever we need to. That can be shut off. This can be shut off. So anytime we don't want to do this, we can just come in here, turn that off, turn that off. And this thing is basically done. Let's turn it back on just to get everything planted real quick. I think it's on a 4-second, 10-second timer. I can't remember. But the timer's back here in the wall. I may change that up because we have some stuff in here that I completely forgot about that I had even put in this pack. This one is currently turned off real quick. It's not going to breed these guys anymore. So if we want to turn this one on, we just click it and it'll start its 5-minute timer. So everything can be shut off. I mean, honestly, we could even turn that off if we wanted to, but eventually once it fills up that pool, it'll just stop doing anything anyways. So this farm, you could have as many cows as you can probably jam in up there. I wouldn't go too high, especially if you're on a server. You know, the more mobs you have in there, the more up there, the more babies you're going to have down here. So they'll lag. I think you could I think there's a blood magic ritual that will actually make these animals grow up a little bit faster, but we're not going to mess with that. This is pretty much just Botania. So I'm going to pause real quick, head over to the test world, and then I'll show you exactly how we did this one, and then the other option that you could use if you wanted to. So we'll be back in just a second. Welcome to the test world. Yeah, just a super flat world where I kind of try out stuff. You'll recognize a couple of farms. That one I was trying to see what that meteor thing would do, and I don't know, maybe it doesn't work on when you're in test. I've never have gotten that thing to drop a meteor on me yet. This you'll recognize. This is the farm that we're using. Growth band, dark matter pedestal, and then of course the agri-carnations. Very simple redstone. It's just a timer. Switch to turn it on and off, and then on each of these I have, just to make it simple myself, I have the micro or the hyper rationing pipe, which just allows one item at a time to be put into whatever container it's hooked into. So that way I don't have to try to get 64 seeds in there or fill up the other inventory spots with something else to keep all the seeds from going in there. And then of course it comes out of this chest, and then it's just using carrots right now, but if you want to do wheat, you could just set it to only pull seeds out of this chest. I've got a little different. In the actual survival world, I have one chest that just handles seeds, and then everything else, because I want to have access to it up in the front, goes to that second chest. But however you want to wire it, it's up to you. But the redstone's fairly simple. Here I have it on top. In the survival world, I have it on the bottom, but it doesn't matter as long as it gets to it. One timer is all you need, and then of course a switch to activate it, and then it'll turn on and go ahead and plant for this particular farm is carrots. You'll hear the sound going. They'll all start getting harvested. Oops, I don't have the... Helps if you turn on the band. So now we should get a little bit faster growth. It doesn't matter that it's kicking these things out and they're not planting, because the chest will pick them up and then re-put them back in there. What this does is it just makes sure that you don't have a spot empty for too long. So you'll see like those two are gone. If we waited for everything to be gone, it would take a while. So you could set that faster, set slower, however long you set the timer. That's really all that matters. So we'll let it do one more. Shut that off. Come over here and we'll turn that off. Alright, so that's real simple. Just you got your pipe, transfer node, hyper rationing pipe. That's really the way to go with these things. The hyper rationing pipe means you don't need to use as many seeds. It's only going to take out as many seeds as there are dispensers. Some speed upgrades in there, just make sure it gets all the way around quick enough. And then over here is the other option I was talking about. Very similar, same kind of thing with the dispensers, but you'll see this thing is set to harvest every 2.5 minutes. So it's really not as efficient, but it does not use Project E. You don't even need to use the lily pads of fertility. If you just want to go with the agricarnations, you could do that. You maybe just want to put more in there than this. So what this one will do is using the this one kind of works off of a tick rate. I think this and these lily pads work off of a tick rate. It has a chance to every tick or something to give growth. I don't understand it, but these work a little differently than the Project E ring does. So it's a little bit slower, and since we don't have any way to automatically harvest this without harvesting everything, Botania's way we'd have to use like a horn to break everything. I didn't really like that so much. That's why I went with the pistons kind of moving the dirt. So if we look at the redstone, where's our... It starts over here with this timer every 2 minutes, or 2.5, something like that. It's like 2.5 minutes. You can see everything's not fully grown yet, so that's why I probably should have set this to 3. I had it on 3, and sometimes it works faster than others. I don't know. It's weird. But when it ticks off... No, it's still good. It's only about halfway through. So this pulse is going to come over here, and it's going to hit these two pistons, which is going to harvest the dirt, or harvest what's on there, because it's going to push everything. If I could stay up, come on. There we go. That's going to push everything that way and harvest everything, and of course the item collector here will pick it up. Again, you could use a hopper hawk there. Then it's going to come around, and it's going to hit this repeater, which is going to give it a 3-tick delay, because you don't want it to fire these pistons at the same time it fires those pistons. So it's going to give it a little bit of a delay, and then come around and fire these two pistons, which will then push them back into place. Alright. Then over on this side we have a repeater with another 3-tick delay, and another repeater on this side with a 3-tick delay. All right, and then those go to all the dispensers. So it's going to fire in order. It's going to fire these two pistons, push it that way, and then it's going to come around and fire these two pistons and push them that way. And then it's going to come over here and fire these dispensers. Yeah, all in order. Now you'll see that these actually fire twice, and that's just the way. I'm not sure what's powering the pistons the second time, because really this is it shouldn't be getting power from here. I'm not really sure how this block is getting power after, but it does it on both sides. But it doesn't matter because it's already been pushed that way, so it's just, it fires a second time, but it doesn't hurt anything. And that's how this one works. It's a little bit slower, like I said. I mean, it still works. I mean, it works fine. It just, it's a lot more work than just putting the growth goddess band down and having it harvest for you. Wow, those things are noisy as hell. That is not something when you'd want to put close to your base. That would be annoying as hell. Do I have anything else in here that's new that I've been working on? No, not really. You can see kind of how slow these things are just on their own. So they're not really growing anything very quickly. In fact, I don't hear any noise. Did I take the band down? Why is this not doing anything? Huh, something's wrong. They're probably actually growing and I'm just not seeing it. It's probably some sort of laggy thing. But those are the two options you have. You have this one that uses pistons to kind of harvest. Not too hard to do, just some redstone to make sure you get your kind of your stuff to fire all in order. Would probably take a little bit more room than the farm that we're using right now, which is this one over here. There's really no room. You have to worry about pistons and stuff moving. Though the farm that we have over there, I initially was going to do it the other way, but I thought, you know what, this is a lot quicker. I can just come over here and turn it on, let it do its thing, get a few stacks, and then shut it off. So that's why I went with this one rather than that one over there. But the other one is actually set up. I could easily go in there and slide pistons in. There's more than enough room for it. I would just have to move some of the pipe that's there right now to be able to put them in. That's really it. So guys, I hope this helped you out, give you kind of an idea on what you can do with Botania for as far as farms go. Over here, of course, is just my little test to make sure that this flower would do what it was supposed to do. And of course, it's not as pretty as the real world, but real simple. Some fences standing on the fence post. They just fall down. The secondary flower kills them. Easy peasy. So guys, I hope you appreciate it. I hope you like the information that you got on this one. Don't forget to smash that like button. And until next time, I will see y'all later.